Imagine being the most powerful person in your country, sitting inside what is supposed to be one of the safest buildings in the nation, and within a few hours, being rushed out of it because of a threat to your life. That is exactly what happened tonight in Canberra, and we are going to break down everything we know, minute by minute, right now. Welcome back, everyone. If you are new here, this channel covers breaking political stories as they unfold, cutting through the noise so you get the facts fast. Today we are talking about a genuine national security scare involving the Prime Minister of Australia. And if you want to stay updated on stories like this the moment they happen, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story is still developing. So here's what we know so far. The Prime Minister has been evacuated from his official residence, known as the Lodge, in Canberra. Federal police have confirmed that a security concern was raised, though officials have not yet revealed the exact nature of the threat. As a precaution, the Prime Minister was moved to an alternative, undisclosed location while a search of the property continues. Authorities have been clear about one thing, though. They say there is no ongoing danger to the wider public or the local community. This appears to be an isolated situation directly tied to the Prime Minister's safety, not a broader emergency. Now let's talk about the timeline, because this is where it gets interesting. According to reporters on the ground, the threat was reportedly received at around 6 o'clock local time. But the public did not find out about any of this until roughly 3.5 hours later. So why the delay? It turns out the story broke almost by accident. Someone happened to notice unusual activity and a buildup of vehicles near the lodge, mentioned it informally, and that small observation eventually made its way to journalists. Once reporters caught wind of it, they were able to confirm the situation directly with the Prime Minister's office. From there, the news spread quickly through official channels and out to the public. What makes this particularly striking is the contrast in tone. Just a couple of hours before the evacuation, the Prime Minister was doing something completely ordinary, hosting a live-stream podcast from inside the lodge, chatting away, taking comments from the public. Everything seemed calm and routine. Then, within a matter of hours, that same location became the center of a security operation, with police vehicles arriving and a search getting underway. It is a jarring reminder of how quickly things can shift for a country's leader. Reporters stationed outside the property have described the scene as relatively low-key, at least visibly. There are no flashing lights, no sirens blaring through the night. Instead, there is a small but noticeable police presence, and an unmistakable tension in the air as the search continues. Officials have been tight-lipped about specifics, likely because investigations of this kind require a careful, controlled release of information, especially while the source of the threat is still being traced. And that raises the bigger question everyone wants answered: who is behind this, and why? At this stage, that remains unknown. Federal police and intelligence agencies are expected to be working around the clock to trace where the threat originated and to determine exactly how serious it was. Many are hopeful that more details will emerge by morning, once the immediate security concerns have been addressed and authorities are in a position to speak more openly. But this incident does not exist in isolation. It fits into a much larger and frankly troubling pattern. Members of Parliament across Australia, at both state and federal levels, report threats to their safety in the hundreds every single year. These range from abusive messages online to far more serious incidents like the one we are covering tonight. Political leaders, including this Prime Minister, have spoken publicly before about being on the receiving end of threats simply for holding public office. It says something about the current climate that politicians are now more willing to openly discuss the abuse and danger that can come with the job. There is a wider conversation happening here about how normalized political hostility has become, particularly online. Social media has made it easier than ever for people to hurl abuse at public figures, and every so often, that hostility crosses a line from words into something that requires real-world security responses. Whatever your political views, and regardless of how strongly you disagree with any leader's policies, there is something everyone should be able to agree on. Threats of violence against people simply because of their political position are never acceptable. Disagreement is part of democracy. Threats are not. It is also worth remembering the scale of the residents involved here. The lodge sits on a fairly large piece of land in Canberra, surrounded by layers of both visible and invisible security measures. It has often been compared to the White House in terms of its symbolic importance and its security infrastructure. This is not some lightly guarded property. It is one of the most protected buildings in the entire country. And yet, even with all of that protection, a threat serious enough to trigger a full evacuation still got through the system, at least in terms of causing enough concern to move the Prime Minister out. As of right now, the search at the lodge is still ongoing. The Prime Minister remains at a secure, undisclosed location. Federal police have reiterated that there is no danger to the general public, and they are treating this as a contained, isolated security matter. We do not yet know when the Prime Minister will be able to return home, or what exactly triggered this response in the first place. We will be watching this story closely and will bring you updates the moment more information becomes available, especially once authorities are able to share more concrete details, which many expect could come as soon as tomorrow morning. So that is where things stand right now. A Prime Minister evacuated from his own residence, a federal police search underway, and a country waiting to find out exactly what happened behind the scenes tonight in Canberra. If you found this breakdown useful, do us a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach more people who need to see accurate updates on this story instead of rumors. Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. What do you think this threat could be about? And how seriously should governments be taking the rising number of threats against political leaders? And if you have not already, subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update as this story continues to develop. Thanks for watching, stay informed, and we will see you in the next one.